When I saw this video cinematically, done, it's just beautiful to me. He's just big chilling in this chair. And it's
Oh,
like, it's so peaceful, He's in his zone, he's in his element, he's just
it's like
vibing.
like an effortless vibe. That's
Yes. And I find that so beautiful.
Hi everyone, welcome to What's on Your Feed. Today my guest is Monitrice Lashé. She's a student of robotics. She's living in the UK and she's from America. How are you? Thank you for being here, Monitrice.
Listen, thanks for having me. As you said, I'm a student in robotics, but I like to be well-rounded, so I don't want to talk about robotics today.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I will say this. Studying during COVID has been very interesting. For me, I'm a people person. I like to talk to people, I like to see people, and during my gap year, I had to take that year because COVID happened and I wasn't able to work, things shut down. Right. And one of the more important things for me was that I was really alone. I felt alone. And I just, on YouTube one day, I listened to a lot of lo-fi music and just, things to kind of chill me out. And I came across this guy. And the beautiful thing about the internet is that you truly can watch people grow. When I first came across his channel, he was a prospect MD. So he was just doing all of his prerequisites for his studies. And now he's StudyMD because he's a medical doctor. Okay. So this guy, oh my gosh, he was seriously a life changer because one of his approaches is that, all his channel is about is studying. And one thing I try to look for anything is I'm a student. I love to learn. I'm always going to be a student. Yeah. So with his channel, he does these study sessions. Okay. And so he was my virtual study buddy, even though we're doing completely opposite things. Here you can see he's got 2 hours, 3 hours. And the technique that I love, the one thing I love about him is that he uses the Pomodoro technique. So that's when you study for, let's say 45 minutes and you take a break for 15 minutes. Okay. For me, I can't sit still for too long. So I didn't even know about this technique. And so learning that from him was just it changed my entire,
cool. So this is awesome for you because now you have company, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's a couple of other people that do this as well, which I think is cool. But his is my favorite. He's just so focused in. It motivates me.
I see. Awesome.
Yeah. And he's just chilling on his balcony studying.
Well, nice view. Very nice view.
Very beautiful view. Everyone comments on his view.
I can see how this is very helpful. Yeah.
He has a timer, which I love. So this is the first session. For 45 minutes. You're completely, focused. Right. And then 15 minutes, he goes away. He has his tea. He has a little snack or something. You come back and you study. So, and that's exactly what I would do. 100% love this channel. And then it's something that I've told myself in my head, this is your time to study. Let's focus, get this out the way. And every time it gets me where I need to go.
That's great. I didn't know this type of channels existed.
Yeah. I didn't either. But, again, with
necessity, right?
Yeah. Everything closing down and, people, they still have to carry on with things. So it was just nice to have that virtual person there. Yes. And a real person as well.
Yes. Well, virtual friendships are becoming much more real now, right?
Definitely. I love podcasts. I've always been a huge fan of podcasts because you learn a lot from people. True. So this guy,
I've seen this guy before. Yeah.
I love him so much. Yeah. The reason I always look for things that are different as well. That's if it's quirky or different or whatever the case, I look for it.
Sure.
And I saw him in an interview. I'm a big fan of Breakfast Club. That's something huge in America. It's been on for years. And I said, this guy looks really interesting. So I went to check out his YouTube channel, and I love his videos because whenever or if I'm not seeking advice, he always gives me something that I can take something from every video. And he just kind of goes through his journey. One cool thing is that he loves his tea. What he does, he actually offers you tea and then he'll have his tea while he talks. So it's different. Yeah. So there he is with his tea. Yeah. He goes through, this is the type of tea I'm having, or this is loose leaf, from palm tree. I don't know. You just crazy things. I love it. And he really does set the mood for whatever he's talking about. I love his voice. His voice is very calming and just everything about him, even his space is just you feel like you're there,
And all the plants.
Yes. So, oh my gosh, it's just the way he pours the tea and it's just, it's an immersive experience.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. And then even with his podcast, like the things that he talks about really like resonate with me as well. So it's nice to have someone that's like, you know, in his element really, and just speaking truth, you know, so that's a beautiful thing. I tend to try to like mix up, you know, from listening to music and podcasts. And like I said, podcasts, you learn so much. Like people really have a lot to say. And
1-2 hours of unfiltered conversation. That's something that TV couldn't provide.
Yes, exactly. Like, don't get me wrong, and I like Netflix, but I mean, I've canceled a bunch of subscriptions lately because YouTube, like, I've learned so much. It's funny, you learn a lot. So yeah. Speaking about music, this guy I came across, actually, I was on Instagram, and Drake had reposted one of his covers. I love people that do covers because like they put their own twist on it. So it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So Joseph Solomon, he kind of became famous off of that one reshare from Drake. The first video that I watched, I came to like, you know, see that song that he did of Drake's, and he's just like chilling in this chair. I love plants. I'm all about plants. I in the background, I've got a couple plants. Part of my collection, you know. So when I saw this video, I was like, oh, first of all, yes, the plants, but the way like cinematically, you know, done, it's just beautiful to me. He covers and he meshes songs together. Like you wouldn't even think these songs go together.
Yes.
So
awesome.
This guy, like, he's just big chilling in this chair.
Oh,
it's like so peaceful, you know?
It's just so cool.
Yes. And this is how all of his videos are. He's in his zone. He's in his element. He's just vibing.
Like an effortless vibe. That's
yes. And I find that so beautiful. Like, you know, in front of cameras, things are so staged, you know, or choreographed. And to see somebody like him just do his work and create art, and, you know, even his voice is very unique. When I think of him, I don't think of anybody else, you know? So it's beautiful what he meshes together, the songs that he brings together, and it's amazing.
Wow, yeah, I'm definitely very curious about this one.
Yep, and that kind of goes into my next one. So a quick story time. It was a summer night, and, you know, middle of COVID, we were out in the field and, you know, just having drinks, enjoying each other from what we could, at least, you know, this is our support bubble. Right. And, you know, we always carry speakers wherever we go because we you know, we love our music. And so one of my friends, she started to play the song, and part of the song was "You Make Me Feel Good." And in that moment, even in the midst of, I lost my father last year, there's a lot going on. I was in between, you know, deciding, do I go back to school? Like, it was just a lot going on. And drinking, like, you know, sometimes that suppresses it, sometimes it doesn't. But in that moment, I really did feel good. So it was just, you know, I was in nature, we were enjoying ourselves, you know, to the best of our capacity. Right. And so I was just like, Shazam, what's this song? You know?
Oh, I love those moments.
It was just, oh my gosh. I love house. I love techno, you know, EDM. That sort of like, I'm a very versatile person. So I like to listen to like a little bit of everything. And it was something about that song. So I checked them out on Spotify first. I followed them there. And I went onto YouTube because I'm learning to be more of a visual person. So I like to watch videos now. So I went and I saw, you know, his stuff, and as time went on, again, you know, I miss raving. I miss going to the club and just, you know, everyone's just in their moment, you know. Yes. Enjoying the light shows and the sounds, and it's loud, you know. I miss that.
It's still not happening.
Nope, still not happening. Yeah. And like, you know, that kind of, I went through a really like depressive state because so many things I was used to doing, I couldn't do anymore. You know? Yeah. So what he did, he actually hosted like a live, you know, show where he's DJing, and he was playing like, you know, some of his biggest hits. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for this. You know, I was sitting there, I was on my phone, and I just, you know, happened to come across it. And so I turned it on, and I had a huge speaker at the time. And it was, you know, of course not in the club, but, but it was kind of like that same feel. And to see him live and working and like, you know, just playing his music, it gave me goosebumps. Yeah, because it's obviously not the same experience, but it kind of is, you know, you're in the comfort of your home, you know. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, so this is him, this guy, he's out of Germany. And he's just in his room, you know, DJing. He's got his mask on. I love it. Like
the mask.
Yeah, I love to see the DJs that have a mask.
Yeah,
because it kind of like, you know, it covers our identity, so they're kind of mysterious, but you know that the music's good. So yeah, and he's done a couple of these because, like I said, you know, everything's different in different parts of the world. But you know, this is for people that can't get out there. You know, whenever I'm feeling like for some techno, some house, like I definitely go straight to him.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Looks very, very good.
But yeah, so moving away from that, another thing that I say over the past few years is really understanding what the meaning of health is wealth. And my mom, she introduced me to an herbalist a few years ago. And when she told me about her, I was really skeptical because I had never heard of what an iridologist is. And basically it's a doctor that can look into your eyes, and every part of your eye leads to an organ in your body. I was like, she told me, she's like, yeah, like she was able to tell me, you know, why I have trauma. And my mom, she went growing up, not to say she was clumsy, but she broke, you know, a few bones. So the herbalist, she was able to tell her, like, you know, oh, you know, you broke this bone, and you know, I can see that you still have trauma from there, and all these different other things about her life. And I'm like, I don't want anybody to tell me about my life. But anyways, I decided to go. I was, like I said, I've been over here for 7 years. So when I went home, I went to see her, and she opened up my entire world. This lady was able to tell me the type of cigarette I smoked 8 years prior to that. And I was just like, okay, this is the real deal.
Looking at your eyes, just looking at your eyes.
Just by looking at my eyes. And so that's where I kind of got more interested in more like traditional, like Eastern medicine. And she was in China for like 12 years studying medicine. And yeah, so I came across he's an herbalist as well. And I found him on Instagram, and it was kind of like funny because my friend sends me things of his all the time, and I never really looked, but I started to listen to him, and I was just like, all of what he's saying is very knowledgeable and it makes sense. And so basically he's a raw vegan, but he also lifts weights as well. And so what he does is he makes sure that everyone is able to become knowledgeable about their bodies and how to detox and how to, you know, get rid of elements, all these different things. And one thing that I really love about him is that he is always there for his followers. He gets on live and he posts them on YouTube as well. And what he does is he answers questions. He if someone in the comments like, oh, you know, how do I, you know, for this one, bouncing hormones, he gets on and makes a video about it. So that way everyone has this information and it's free, you know. It's really hard, especially like in America and our healthcare system, it's a mess.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's hard. You can go to doctor, you know, if you got good insurance, but there's not many, they don't push herbalism because they know that it solves problems, you know? So yeah, I 100% love this guy. He's always there for information, always there to answer questions, and he will personally reach out to you if you need help, you know? So yeah, sometimes I sit here and like, I'm drinking my water or whatever. And, you know, I listen to him and, you know, I gain a lot of information from, and I can take something away from any of his videos. So it's a very beautiful thing. But yeah. So that's Raw Maraby. That kind of brings me into the next one. Her name is Shelby. And I've always been frugal my entire life. My dad, he always instilled in us the saying, I can make that. So when I came across Shelby, I think she majored in environmental science. And she's like big on, you know, go green and all that, but not in a forceful way, you know? One of the biggest things that I love about her is that she will tell you the truth. You know, she will say, you know, this company, they advertise eco-friendly or go green or whatever, but that's not really what they're doing. Yeah, or you don't need to have all of these water bottles and backpacks. You know, she's really real with her things. And so she goes into like a lot of reviews, like on skincare, and it's comforting to know that one, she's giving you the truth. Again, her plants, that's something that really draws me to people is plants.
Awesome.
She also does like grocery shopping with you. So a lot of those videos that you come across, they're like called Come With Me. She'll take you to Whole Foods and be like, okay, this package, okay, yeah, this is good. This doesn't have any, plastic in it or whatever. And yeah, it's nice to have that person because otherwise how would you know?
Right. So you get all the tips from her.
Yeah. Lots of tips. And she's just a very real, genuine person. It kind of gives you that aspect of going green, but in the right way, not overbuying and that shop local. That's another thing that I'm huge on. Love the shop local. Love my market. Yeah. So
awesome.
So I know I told you I wasn't going to talk about robotics, so I'm still not going to talk about robotics. but I do want to talk about this.
The closest.
This is something that I want to get into. Before I decided to go with this, with robotics to study, I sat there and I was like, I really want to get into sex tech. As a woman of color, like there's not a lot of things that represent us. And so sex tech is literally the industry that has anything to do with sex, whether it's education or devices, wearables, all that sort of thing. So a lot more body positivity and like, pushing for people to understand what their bodies are. And this really hit home because growing up, I didn't have that education. I didn't understand my body. I didn't, it's a lot of things I'm still learning,
Right.
And I wanted to have, I still, want to have that impact on people in the world to say like, hey, it's, this is natural. Like, taking all those things down from society and what they believe it's supposed to be. So I came across Sex Tech EU. And again, I miss going to exhibitions and events because you network, you meet people, you learn things. And so they hosted like an online version of what they normally do.
Yeah.
And that's where I came across a lot of like information as far as, what's out there, what narratives are trying to change, and also just, meeting different people. Yeah. So it's a doll.
It's a doll.
Yeah. And they created like an immersive experience with the doll. It's located in Berlin. Yeah. And it was so interesting to me because yes, you can buy dolls, that's your sort of thing, whatever. But with this experience, what they decided to do is they took this doll and put her into like a, something similar to like an Airbnb. And there's a person, they advertise it as AI, but it's sort of different than what we think. So they have a person that's in a control room that interacts with them. Okay. So yeah. So it's different,
Yeah.
You don't really get those experiences, but yeah. So when I came across that, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Oh, way more immersive than
definitely way more immersive than what I mean. There are a few companies out there that they're still working on doing like fully robotic sex dolls, things that can interact with you. They work Bluetooth, bunch of sensors. Like it's a lot of things that goes into this thing. But generally trying to recreate a more like humanoid robot, for you to interact with. Yeah. But yeah, so I learned a lot from them. So definitely learned a lot. And then within my studies, like we had to do review papers and, research and all this. And there was just so much that I came across.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Do you take your learnings in robotics to this field?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot that I have learned between both, doing research and then studying as well, that I now understand, that I now can apply, So, and even like right now I'm working on an app that uses augmented reality, and it basically is teaching you about your body and creating silhouettes. And so that's something I'm working on now.
Awesome.
So good stuff.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
But yeah, meeting people, and then you get a whole host of background of people, that come to these things, and you're able to talk to them, and it's just like there's no shame,
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of things in society are like hypersexualized and like over-sexualized. So to kind of like break down that barrier and just be able to have that conversation is really something that like I want to get into. Another podcast that I really like, this guy, he's actually from London, but he lives in the States now. So I Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Jay Shetty. Listen, this
Jay
guy
Shetty?
here.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's so good. He's such a good communicator.
He is. The most recent one I watched was his interview with Kobe Bryant, bless him, he passed away. But yeah, every time I listen to Jay Shetty, I cannot do anything else. I just want to be there and sit and listen. Because one thing that he always does in his interviews, he asks, what are you reading, or what book inspired you? Right. And that inspires me to go and read the books. Like there's a couple of books that I actually picked up from him. Yes. So yeah, just again, learning things from interviews and things you didn't know about the people. Like Kobe Bryant, I didn't know that he had a whole like book series that he was writing.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then I feel like you kind of get to understand the person as themselves, without you think Kobe Bryant. First thing
not just for the sport.
Yeah. And it's just so much more to him. There's so much more to other people as well.
Yeah, to everyone. Yeah.
Love him, and even from what he's come from him being told by his producers, this is not going to work. It gives me motivation because after being told no, this is not going to work, and look at him now.
It's huge.
Yeah, definitely. He used that. Like I said, I love his podcast. I love to pick up like any books that he recommends. There was one I read about feminism, but it was it's funny. It's called Hood Feminism, and the book, like I've not completed it yet, but the book so far is amazing because it does talk about women of color and feminism, and how they've been left out and how we can change it going forward. And I would have never heard about this book unless I was listening to a podcast.
Right.
So it wasn't something I was exactly like looking out to look for. But so yeah, the next one, again, back with my music.
NPR, yeah. Amazing,
I love
amazing.
NPR, yeah. Tiny Desk. Oh my gosh, it's like my favorite thing. I think it's interesting that they literally put these people in an office to perform. More recently, because of lockdowns. They did home. So that was really awesome to see, like, in their house, in their studios, in their living room. Sometimes, like they're chilling. They're
amazing.
It does feel like a more intimate concert because it's nothing specific. It could just be like their top songs, and they kind of like give you like a little explanation before they sing it, why I made the song. Or one of my favorite ones is Janae Aiko. I just love her vibe in general. So to see her do her Tiny Desk home concert, just the entire experience is like you were really there. And funny enough, I was watching Jay Shetty's interview with her, and she was saying how like she got into sound bowls and how she just kind of like collected them and started to use like the crystal ones. So this is how she starts out, and it's just like it gives me goosebumps. She genuinely puts her heart into everything that she does.
Everything is like perfect. Like everything is beautiful.
Yes. And playing this on a bigger speaker, it's so beautiful. You can hear everything. Yeah. So
awesome.
Definitely my favorite. So this one just so happened to come up on my Explore page, and I looked at it at first, and you can kind of see there's a lot of food here. So I was just like, I'm kind of curious. So what this grandma does is literally cook for the entire village.
Wow.
Yeah. And because I you see like all the food, and you're just kind of wondering like, what's this? And then and so she speaks English, but she only knows a few words. So she'll say like, okay, onion or garlic, and she literally goes to the recipe. There's no measurements because she's cooking for like a lot.
Yeah.
So and it just kind of starts out like this. She's got her helpers because she's an elderly woman, but she gets them to start the fire, and like literally everything is done in such a the way that this is done is so amazing to me. That pot is probably like older than me, but you know what? It makes a lot of food. So. Everything that she does is either vegan or vegetarian. Yeah, so there she goes. She's so cute.
Yes,
She's like that one grandma that you always like, My last one, exploring alternatives. Right?
Cool.
Ever since I was young, I've always wanted a tiny house. And it's not even the infatuation of it being tiny, but tiny living to me made so much sense at a young age.
Yeah. Well, you said you were always sort of frugal, right?
Yeah.
So this goes any name.
Yes, definitely. And oh my gosh, going back to my dad, I can make that.
Yeah. Yes.
So
People can actually build.
yeah. So the whole like DIY thing and, frugal, using your resources, what's around you as well, has always been a part of me, a part of who I am.
Yes.
And yeah, so, oh my gosh, listen, when I came across this channel, I was just like, oh, this is like everything that I possibly need. When I see this channel and them taking literally nothing and turning it into their own unique piece, like that's amazing to me,
It's incredible.
It's literally goals. To be able to do this. So I love seeing things like this, and also in different areas as well, because obviously there's certain terrains need certain things, or weather, whatever the case may be. So it's just I've learned so much from this. So when I do go back home, I'm gonna build
Shit. I wish you all the best with that. It's amazing. And I don't even know how far you can go with implementing robotics into it.
Yes. Even going into like some of my hobbies, like growing up, my dad introduced me to, he's inspiration in like everything I do in my life. But I really miss him. I wish that he could be here, but I understand. So growing up, he introduced me to Sims. And my dad, like he was in the military, so he's very like, how would you say, structured, very organizational. Mm-hmm. Like I've never met somebody that has so many things, but everything's organized,
Wow, yeah.
And so he basically introduced me to Sims, and now they have like the newer versions, and there's something that's called eco living. So, and you also have different like, add-ons, and there's tiny living and all these different places, all these different things. So sometimes I sit here, when I do have some downtime, and I play The Sims 4. I open up everything, and I'm literally creating a tiny house, because back home, that's what I want to do. So it's just like, using games to sort of bring things to life.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So I love exploring alternatives. They do have a lot of good information, and it's just like, it's so much to take in, but it's so beautiful to see the things that they create, and I call myself a creative technologist because I have a bit of both, but yeah, to just see it's so nice. And then even the views and the places that they go are really like, I want to step away from technology. And that's, I think I throw a lot of people off, because yes, I've done, like, my first degree was in computer science and engineering. My master's is in creative technology. This one's in robotics. So I really throw people off when I say I'm not all about tech. They're like, wait, what? So I can tell you. I think it's healthy to get away from the screens and, be able to, definitely, for me, regroup. I love to be around water, and, sometimes you need that, to have that healthy balance, for sure.
It has to be time to escape.
Yes. And that's why I have my little plants around here too. So
yeah, we can go to the top 5.
StudyMD.
Yes.
This past year has been very, very helpful. He taught me a technique I didn't even know about. He's like, he reaches out to his people, with his followers, like, hey, what are you guys looking for? And I think if I were to ever meet him in person, we would just mesh. We would get along. We listen to the same sort of thing. Awesome. And it just creates that environment that I really needed during that time,
Right.
For number 2, I'm going to have to go with Satin Jackets because they really like recreated that experience for me, for raving and just enjoying that music, and, taking me back to that summer night. I was around friends. I was able to kind of like decompress a little bit through my, what I had going on in the world, in my small world. And for him to just DJ in his room and have the lights and make me feel good, literally make me feel good. Next one I'll have to go with his hindsight. I just everything about his YouTube channel, everything that he speaks to me. And to have someone I don't know, it's just a bit, like I said, I go for quirky, I go for different, I go for unique. To have someone sit there and be like, hey, here's your tea,
Yes,
I love my tea as well. Okay, Tiny Desk. Gotta give it a Desk.
Yes.
Yes, the concerts, the environment, the vibe, like, it's almost as if you're there. You know? And I think over the years I've actually like given me more peace of mind. You know,
it's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And I think that too, what Tiny does, the reason why they're in the top 5 and the reason why I follow them and subscribe is because I went through a phase of having really bad social anxiety, and I couldn't bring myself to, get out of the house and, go to concerts and stuff. So when I was going through that and just trying to figure out how to deal with myself and what was going on, Tiny Desk really came into play. And to see them carry on even throughout COVID, like, it's just, they've been solid since day one.
Yeah.
And my last one, Sex Tech EU. The reason why is because this is my future. This is what I'm manifesting. This is what my goal. And I feel that, like, the internet has so many things. There's so many things that you can learn, but when you're hyper focused on a niche, that's like what your environment is. And this is what I want to do. So putting myself, into those interviews or into those, plugging myself into, like, whatever they're creating, whoever they're bringing to the light or whatever. I learned so much. And it makes my ideation process for whatever it is I'm going to create so much better, because I understand, like, what's out there, what exists, what doesn't work, the pros, the cons, everything, all that's there. So to have it all there in a central location and to have these ongoing workshops and, talks and different things, like, I'm there for it.
Awesome.
So that has to be my top 5.
Awesome. Great. This was a great show. Thank you so much for doing this, Monitrice.
Yes. Thank you, Zeus. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.